What up, everybody, and welcome back to this episode 3 of the Tam and Barrett UniVersus Super Show. My name's Tam, this is Barrett, and I'm sure we've got a fun one for you today. If you do not know, if this is your first time on the Tam and Barrett UniVersus Super Show, this is a call-in radio show. We would love to hear from you, talk about you and your questions. So if right now you are over in my Twitch chat live as we are recording, type exclamation point, ask a question inside the chat. That will give you all the information you need to go and submit a question over on my Discord. We will get you on a call best we can, and then me, Barrett, and you will all sit down for about 15 minutes and discuss it. While you guys are getting in your questions, I do have a bit of a warm-up question for you. And it's a long one. I'm going to take you on a ride. Fans of the show, friend of the show, 4CheckCast just did their preview for Ninja Turtles. We're not going to talk about that. If you're interested in it, go check out their VOD and such, or their YouTube video. I'm sure it'll be up very soon. And then they got into this. They got their tires stuck in and really bogged down in comparing the power level of sets from the past and this new set. They got really, really bogged down to the point where the 4CheckCast turned into a nasty, dirty, disgusting 2CheckCast of Justin Birch and Kevin Broberg yapping at each other about, and here is the question, what does power level mean? What does power level mean in relation to, Justin was very specific about characters and overall sets and like being competitive and blah blah blah, and honestly, from everything that I heard, and I had to bail on the show a little early, I had to end it about 15-20 minutes early. Justin couldn't give an answer to what power level, what that word means in definition, without leaning or falling on this crutch of using the word power level like a
Sure.
well-known definition. So my question for you, Barrett, is to all the people out there, what does power level mean to you when it comes to UniVersus cards and sets and anything else you could possibly describe it as?
Yeah, I think the easy answer is it is a fictitious scale that people use to judge competitiveness, high-level play cards versus garbage cards. And I'll use the word garbage in the sense of just like stuff you wouldn't even put in your draft deck. Yeah?
Sure.
Like there's draft chaff, but you're like, so I'll instead of using the word power level, I will use a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And in the history of UniVersus, we have always had different sets come out, and through different times that eras have changed, it's typically because there is a big shift on the power level scale. And I think it's, at least for our game, it's a lot easier to break it down. Kind of what you're talking about is what's the power level, or what's the scale of the characters and their strength in this set that it came out with? What's the power level or the scale of the attacks that come in that set? The foundations, and then you can break it down even further. How is that power level or scale discrepancy versus the aggressive leaning cards, the defensive leaning cards, and the kind of in between stuff? So I'll take you on the time chamber. I would say the biggest shift that happened to me when I started playing UniVersus was when the Cowboy Bebop booster set came out. And I think universally, that's my joke for the day, people would say that the game shifted to a very aggressive leaning power level. How did that happen? The quality of attacks went up in power level. The quality of character cards went up in power level. And the quality of foundations went up in power level. So much so that if you wanted to compete at the highest level, if you were not using cards from that set, you were a step below the other decks or cards in the format. And that's exactly what it is. It's a scale. You are a step below. If Bebop at the time was a 10 out of 10, because these are the strongest cards we've seen in our 10 set standard. If you ranked all 10 sets on a power level scale, in Cowboy Bebop's 10, if at characters, attacks, and foundations, if you're just not playing those cards, you are a perceived, because all of this is perception, weaker deck in the format. And results based data would tell you that was correct. We immediately had a Worlds tournament after Cowboy Bebop came out, and lo and behold, every Cowboy Bebop character made top 16, because back then we had diversity. So literally every single one of them made top 16. And then to top it off, after you made it to top 8, I think it was 6 out of 8 of them, or it might have been 8 of them actually. I'm not going to go that far back, but regardless, that was the perceived power level, that the characters in that set were so much stronger, so that in the way that our game is, right, Tam, we are a character-based card game. Your deck is built around the character that you choose, and your character usually creates synergies within ways that you're supposed to build your deck around. So if you were following a strategy or using a character of that higher power level, you were going to be better at some other character that may have had the same text, but you are a stronger character. Fast forward all the way to now. People are looking at spoilers for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And I don't know what their conversation was. You should go check out their conversation. If the idea is, where does Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sit on the power level of recent sets while they share a pool together in Standard, I'm sure they were talking about what did they look like compared to other sets. And I guess characters mainly, right? Because characters are coming out. But
one
when
of
it
the
comes to
big
the idea
things
of
that was said was that they don't like Justin doesn't like Raphael. I've heard a lot of people not like Raphael. Discard your entire hand for +4 damage on a Fury is not very good. Getting speed plus or minus based on the number of cards in your card pool is very akin to something that Vax does. He's not very good. The power level of these characters are just significantly lower than, for example, Attack on Titan 3.
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's easy to perceive that, right? Because I think when you look at the effect, discard your hand for +4 damage, it doesn't look very strong, right? But then you have to remember, like, oh, we have cards like Wish Hard and Feral Shriek that exists, and you're not pressing that button on the first move. You're pressing that move or that button on the third or fourth move when it's your last attack in your hand, and it either fishes you into more moves, and or when you then go to play those next moves, you get to press the button again, and it was free, right? If you press that button twice, you're almost Deku 1.
Yeah. And you're allowed to press it twice, right? As opposed to Deku 1.
And you're allowed to press it twice. You're actually allowed to press it 3 times, right?
Infinite
You're actually allowed to
times.
press it an infinite number of times for each enhanced step that you go to. And his other ability scales the other stats, right? So it's like, I think it's easy to see in a vacuum, yeah, the power level of this card is trash. But the reality is that our game is not played in a fucking vacuum.
Correct. No, I completely agree. And this brings me to my point of my definition of power level. When people talk about power level, they specifically look at, if you remember, here's a Tamism, the pyramid, right? Techniques, tactics, strategies, principles, right? 99.9% of the time when somebody talks about power level, they're talking about techniques. These singular cards look really strong. The words on this one card are very good. When I take and I look at Raphael's katanas, or sorry, Leo's katanas, I look at that card and like that card is one of the worst printed cards that I've ever seen. If milled, build it. If you don't have a second one, enhance mill one. What the fuck? That card sucks. that card's really, really bad. I'm sure.
Enhance mill one, and if it deals ready it or something like that.
Who knows? I stopped reading it. I need to see more cards because that card is not very good as a technique. It just is, it is bad. I have to wait to see, what does Leonardo do? What does Leonardo's kit do? What does the all symbol do inside of this set? This will be the first set with the all symbol even represented in the past actually 4 sets, right? Like it hasn't existed. What does the all symbol look like? It's been a year. And so I can't judge this card by itself as an individual technique yet. And when you look at powerful sets, you see a lot of individual standout cards that are, this card in a vacuum by itself as a technique is very solid. And the root of this question, which we're not going to get into, because I think that the answer to this is obvious because I think the answer to this question is obvious. Is quote, do you think that turtles will be relevant in the meta because of its lowered power level, and do you want the power level turtles to be the power level of the game, right? Which, like, you don't need to answer that. You're a playtester. You're too close to the company, so I will. The answer is, will turtles be high impact on the meta? The answer is yes. There will be specific things that you can cherry pick in and out of that will be powerful in the meta. And the example they kept jumping back to, specifically Justin, was like, do you think that if Critical Role is the base level of what we want the game, how impactful is Critical Role? And the answer is it's very impactful. Like, that is a good set. There are very good one-off cards. There's also a ton of bad cards. There are so many even rares inside this set that have and will never see competitive play strictly based on their power level. There's, I think it's a 3-diff chaos rare that's like, after you make a check, roll a d6. That's your new check. That card is just like never going inside of a competitive list. It's just not.
And it's weird because like I compare this to like when you and I were playing the game. Even when Cowboy Bebop came out, like Cowboy Bebop was the first one of its kind where it was like, wow, I feel like I have to own this entire set because if I want to play any of these symbols, which is all of them because I had all 12 symbols,
Correct.
you will need cards of some sort from this set.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the set that came out after it was Mortal Kombat 10, and that set was massive, don't get me wrong. But if you were kind of picking and choosing who you were playing and what you were doing and playstyle wise, you did not need to own the entire set. Like,
yeah.
if you were like, I really want to play Faye, I really like Faye from Cowboy Bebop, and Mortal Kombat would, according to most people, the characters and attacks were the same power level that were coming from Cowboy Bebop. They were like matching in that category. But if you were still playing a Cowboy Bebop character, you only needed some tools from the Mortal Kombat stuff, and vice versa. If you were getting in on Mortal Kombat, you only need some tools from Cowboy Bebop. You don't need them all, because eventually you will have your own synergies and things that those characters want to be doing on their own, which, lo and behold, probably come from the set that they work with. And just like you're saying, symbols are getting support that they haven't gotten support in a very long time. All of those cards are probably going to seen as big benefits, if anything, to characters that would be a higher perceived power level that haven't gotten support on those symbols. I think of the Rodans of the world. When was the last time we got all and void cards? So now all and void Rodan can feel like something is happening for that character. You know what I'm saying? Or go back even further. A perceived high power level set in our game right now is Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament. But some of those characters that don't have Attack on Titan symbols on them have gotten almost zero support.
Let me see if I can find.
The funny one is Hood, right? Hood has had zero support from all of the Attack on Titan sets, right? And now the turntables have turned, and Hood is going to get support in the sense of his symbols are getting supported. Are you a Hood player? Maybe. Is Hood going to make competitive dips in the pond? Probably not, but they're getting support when they were getting none, right? So I think there's a different perceivedness here of like, even if the power level is lower, it's better than what those characters were getting beforehand, which was nothing.
Yeah.
You can only go up in card games until like rotations happen, right? Once rotations happen or ban lists happen, then characters get knocked down a peg. But characters are always growing in their card pool and strategies, and they're always gaining new things.
Yeah, I think to end my talk on it, I guess my big takeaway is that I think if you remember back to when Girl Power was being previewed, there were all of the front loaded cards of all like the character kits, like 70-80% of them people were like absolutely dunking on. These characters are bad. The cards inside the kits are bad. I can cherry pick one or two things and it's really good. And then we get to the back page of cards and it's like holy cow. These cards are very good. Like these ultra rares are really solid.
You ready? You almost feel like you can't even play those symbols without them. That's how
Yes.
important they are, right? You know,
Yes.
like you think of like the Patchwork Babies of the world. You're like, I'm an order player, and I got into AOT, and I really want to play the order symbol on my character. And every person you talk to is like, well, you better go get Botan's coachings, and you better go get Patchwork Babies, right?
Yep.
And it's like, what? Like, and you're like, what?
And
It's like
so
that idea of like they have those power level cards.
I think that it is not fair at this exact second to judge the power level of the set because we've seen generously 40 cards. We've seen now 4 characters out of the 14, 16 that will be inside the set. And we haven't seen, I think we've seen like 2 rares. We've seen no ultra rares. We've seen no secret rares. We've seen 4 characters. I think it is just way too soon to be having any sort of power level conversations about what this set looks like because man, I'm positive that I can go cherry pick you some dog shit AOT3 commons and uncommons.
Oh,
And
easily,
and
easily.
be like,
Every
what do you think
set.
about this set? And you're gonna go, this set's bad. This set's not good. And I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, it's the best set we've had this year.
and like the idea and like that is a weird take for some people because even what you said about Critical Role, I think a lot of people had a lot of very positive reactions to Critical Role because like you said before, some people don't want to continuously match the power level of other stuff because that means we're like constantly fighting about what's the best shit in the game, right? So some people are like, wow, Critical Role is a breath of fresh air. But then some people will go like, yeah, but none of these characters are good enough to see competitive play. And then 4, 5, 6 people will go top cut with a Critical Role character, and they're like, "Oh, you were just proven wrong." And they're like, "Yeah, but nobody's playing Critical Role cards," and you see Sweeping Daggers in every deck that can run it. And you're like, "What? Like where? Like when's the truth come out? Like you're just trying to cherry pick all these things, and the reality is, every set of every card game, you are going to have very good stuff and shit stuff, because for this stuff to feel even better, there must be garbage."
Speaking of cherry picking cards, thank you for Cast for the awesome question. Thanks for letting me steal that. But we have another one. We have Mr. Feels Good himself. Let's talk UVS. David Toombs has come with us with a viewer question. Hello, buddy. How are you? Mic check for me.
Hey, how are you guys doing? Can you hear me all right?
Certainly can,
Fantastic.
buddy. Hit us. First off, thank you for being on the show. Can't do the show without viewers. Again, if anybody is looking to pop on and have their question, exclamation point, ask a question in the chat, come jump, open a ticket over at my Discord, and we can chat. Hit me, David, with your question.
Hey, this one I've been struggling with for a little bit. Could you help me know, is Sweeping Daggers a feels good card?
Sure. I will change. I'll change what the question is.
I have a real question after this.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so wait, hold on. What's the bit again? It's feels good or real good?
Yes, feels good or
Yeah,
Wow.
is it feels good or real good? Sweeping Daggers.
I would say I think it's a feels good card. I do not think every deck has to play it because in some matchups it's really bad. And in other matchups it's really good, which means put it in your sideboard.
Start with Sweeping Daggers on your side?
Yeah, that's how I play Pony.
I think that it is a real good card because and that I think it is a real good card, and I think that here is the I didn't get a chance to make my true dissertation against your point, David, but we can have a mini session of it here. I think that this is a sliding scale, and cards slide on this scale of feels good versus real good, and I think in the current metagame, it is a real good card because there are so many high impact cards to touch this, as well as specifically removing choice cards out of this card pile is important. Its stats are good. Its symbol spread is good. I think that it is good enough that if you include it in every single deck, you will find enough value out of the card at its floor that you will feel good at the bare minimum. And then at the very top, the high end of this card is really good. And so at the minimum, you should just play it. And here's the craziest thing. This card's got a 1 mid block. You can just effectively block with this card, and it is good.
Correct me if I'm wrong, David. I thought the point of the feels good, real good argument is that the card at its floor should always be real good.
Right. So the real answer is both of y'all are correct. It's a feels good and a real good card.
Yes,
That's what I said.
It's
both.
I think it's the best attack in the game, and yet I think it probably sees too much play for what it should. I think like in a pony, for example, is probably perfectly reasonable to put it in the side when it's not contributing to your core game plan on its own.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it doesn't. Like when your opponent is playing a bunch of attacks that draw a card, Pony's like, Sweeping Dagger is pretty good, but like you don't also want to be the enabler of like in the Pony deck, you're already removing so many of your own cards because of the Science Burst synergy and all the Bing Bong stuff. If you have 3 Sweeping Daggers in your discard pile because you're mainboarding them as Pony and your opponent slams the first Sweeping Dagger of the game, you've lost every Sweeping Dagger in your entire discard pile for your opponent to still then just pick your Kraken anyway.
Mhm.
And you're like, oh, well, this sucks.
Yeah,
is
I
there
think
another question here, or is this
Yeah,
the
there-
real
okay,
one?
there's a real
Okay.
question. Okay. My real question is kind of the same subject though.
Sure.
But for you guys, what's an example of good cards in standard, not just bad cards, but like good cards in standard that are run at too high of a rate by beginner or casual players? Like what's a card or what's like a type of card that you think people continuously run and you're thinking, I would really cut that if you wanted to take your deck to the next level?
I think I'll pick the low hanging fruit because I'm sure this is a hot topic for even people in the competitive field right now. I'll say Filled with Doubt. I think especially for a beginner player, it is very easy to fall into the trap of sealing my opponent's attack is going to keep me alive, when the reality is you have now made the rest of your turn hard for blocking / there's still more to come, and you got -1 hand size. And I would push for those players instead to still be playing cards like Runaway. Granted, those are on 3 symbols versus Infinity. I understand, but like I think Runaway is good in almost every matchup for what it's trying to do, and fulfills the same things that whatever the card is, Filled with Doubt does. But Filled with Doubt is a way. It is easier to execute in the sense of what it does to keep you alive, but it is harder to execute for the reality of how it functions in the game. I think very high skilled players are going to play Filled with Doubt and they're going to win because they play it. And I think new players are going to fall into the trap of using it too early or using it at the wrong time, and then they'll die for it. Whereas Runaway, I feel like is pretty easy to use and impactful almost every time you do use it. That would be like an example I would give.
All right, I would agree with that. Yeah, I started out this format with playing 3 or 4 Filled with Doubt in every deck, and it's slowly been coming down.
It's usually down to 1 or only on the sideboard typically. And I think that's kind of like what the card is meant to represent for like high level players, because you're like, well, wait, a lot of my real answers to attacks are stuff I'm already playing in my deck. This is like a crutch that I'm sometimes leaning on, and is honestly, in my opinion, more easy to counter, even though it's a hand trap, which is like weird for me to say, but like because everybody's talking about it, people are playing around it. It's a blue card. People play blue card hate, et cetera, right? So it's just it is a weird space. I totally agree, but like that's the one I know that's like everyone's putting a bunch of them in, and I see more people die to the card than actually win with it. So it's really hard to gauge that one. So that's my one. Your turn, Tam. While I think of another one.
I'm sitting here scrolling trying to find a specific card, because my issue is that when it comes to specific, and I'll change my verbiage, techniques, I can't think of a singular one that I'm like, too many people are playing that one. That one I think is bad. So I will do a cop out answer and change it ever so slightly. I think that new players specifically, are running too many 4-ofs in their deck. when they could be playing more 3-ofs and slot those 4-of slots as even 1-ofs to widen their net of the things that they could be doing. Unless you're playing a 60 card hyper aggro porco looking idea, it is okay for you to run more 1s and 2-ofs rather than that are more niche cards rather than playing only 4-ofs exclusively in your deck, right? Like having your deck play. I'm sitting here looking at Critical Role cards. 4 copies of something like a Goblin Bolt might not be correct, where you could just get away with the 1 copy when it matters. But this card's like so crazy when I find it. Yeah, but it's not actually killing your opponent or something along those lines. Even to the point of like when bringing it back to Sweeping Daggers, I think Sweeping Daggers at a 4-of probably isn't correct. Sweeping Daggers at a 2-of probably feels really good. Same thing with Violent Animus Shot. Animus feels really good at a 2-of. Probably does not need to be a 4-of, although that card is absolutely cracked in half. So I think that there are. It is way too easy to see a card and be like, oh, this one is so powerful, it's so good, it's so potent. Let me slam 4 of this in my deck, and you will be punished for it because you do not have diversity in your lineups, rather than
I think
this card is particularly good or bad.
I think that's a really good point. I think the idea in our game of like having mix-up attacks is really good. I think of like, man, what attacks in the game would I not want to run 4 of that you have seen people run 4 of, and you almost kind of see like the self-fulfilling prophecy of like, this is why I think you shouldn't. And it's like, I think Tri-Gravity Beam is very good, but like 4x Tri-Gravity Beam is like, wow, I opened my hand and I have 3 Tri-Gravity Beams. Only one of these is playable for its full potential, right?
Yes.
Or like Irwin's Final Charge, like that card's very good in like a 1 or 2x slot because you need it to be the finisher that it's meant to be, not I'm gonna play 4 of these in a row. So like
the idea
I like
of like
that idea.
sculpting your hand, like efficiently sculpting your hand and knowing how to review and things like that can certainly help with a lot of this potential, right? Bonus draw to do whatnot, and like it actually brings you back, David, to your video of feels good versus real good. I think a lot of those feels good cards are just supposed to be 2-ofs, right? Like when I look at things like Nice Try, I think Nice Try used to be really relevant in the meta and used to be a real good card, right? I think Nice Try at a 2-of is totally down if you're playing a higher difficulty packaged deck because of the job of the card, right? The job of the card is on your turn, it's just a free foundation, and the job on their turn when their speed gets a little too high, we can reduce it down to a more palatable number crunching number. And so like, but I don't need that to be a 4-of in my deck ever. No, I don't need that anymore. Flip for minus speed is way more impactful than flip for plus speed. But if I am running too many 5 diffs and what the macro of what my deck wants, it is actively hurting me.
Yeah, I would agree with your overall point of like if you're running like Void Rodan right now, you can afford to be running a lot of 1x and 2x tech pieces. You'll live long enough. You'll see enough cards. You will end up finding those tech pieces in matchups that matter.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
My answer is actually like I think that there's a lot of decks that are playing packages of cards. I'm sitting here staring at Best Buddies. If you're the life symbol, a life death, and you've got 4 Best Buddies, 4 of the what's the other 1 diff destroy foundation
Brief
gain a
respite.
health card. Brief respite into the 3 diff -1 or +1 -1 damage. What the name of that card is, right? Into
Wow,
greater
people
goal.
stop playing it, and you
into,
already forgot the name of
I
it.
genuinely, its name is so like it's the 2 words of that card are so close to. It's it recoup time? No, it's not. Is it?
Yeah, recuperation time.
Okay, that and brief respite, like they are synonymous to me. Like they're just the same card name. Brief respite.
You're saying if you're doing that
time.
package and you're doing greater goal
and like you take in, you just like are shoving all of these cards in your deck, and like by the time you get done with your staple of this package, you're like 30 cards into your foundations, and you go, shit, where's the rest of it, right? If you just like chop all of those by 1, you now get to add 4 or 5 extra cards into your deck, and probably didn't ruin the consistency of what your deck was doing, right? The difference between having 2 Best Buddies versus a 3rd Best Buddy, like the returns here, or 2 of the 6 copies of your best buddy's Brief Respite are diminishing returns rather than that third foundation being literally anything else that is potent inside of your deck.
To go back to the question, like, Tam and I have this debate, and we're competitive players. So even like ignoring the new players, what cards should like new players not play? Every player is going to have their opinion on what they think is good and what's worked for them and what's been successful. Tam and I, for the longest time, hey, I don't think you should play Lethal Slash in Pony. And Tam's like, I think you can only play Pony with Lethal Slash in it. And like, we sit here and we go back and forth and we go back and forth. And the reality is that the player is going to find the play style that they really enjoy based off of the cards that showed them success. And for me, I'm going to play the game as if I'm going to check a 3 on every card, and I don't want it to be a 2, so I'm not going to play them. And the deck, I'm going to find a way to be successful with the deck without having to incorporate that 2 check. Versus somebody else that's like willing to be like, no, if I find this card on turn 2, I can actually kill people. And you're right, you definitely probably can, based off of all the extra stuff you get and checking well and clearing the card pool out, saving those 3 pony counters, 100%. But then you go to Worlds last year, and the pony decks that actually did the best were the ones that were playing the Spirit Slashes again. Everybody was cutting that card out of their deck, and they went Spirit Slash, I'm going to ready my whole board. And they were the ones that did best of the tournament after the rest of the world said, hey, Pony has evolved, we moved on, we're not playing those cards anymore. And they didn't end up winning the whole thing, but they did better than anybody else playing those characters.
You're gonna make me crash out.
And because they check 6s.
You're gonna make me crash out. My opponent checked a 6
you're
when I did
talking-
perfect math. How fucking dare you? How dare you?
You're talking to 2 pony players at Worlds.
I'm just saying they did better, and they were playing the cards that the rest of the pony players cut from their deck. Things evolved. Players prefer their preferences. And those players were like, I just want to play all the cards that ready my stage because I don't want to lose by checking 3s. And even on stream, when they check running 3s, because they built their deck that way, they were able to still win games. And so it's like they played towards what they wanted to do. Whether you think that card that they put in their deck was a feels good or a real good card, for them in that scenario and their call on the tournament, it was real good because they won with it.
All right. Well, I appreciate your guys's feedback. That was I felt like pretty good.
No, it was great, dude. I love the
That's a good
question. Love what you're doing, man. You for sure were the talk of the town this past week. So
Certainly were.
it's good stuff, man. Are you gonna be at Louisville?
Yeah. I'll be in Louisville with a real good deck.
Hell yes, brother. I can't wait to see it. Thanks so much for your question, David.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You want to crash out about Pony, Tam?
I was playing so crazy hot, man. I was playing so hot.
You know?
So hot.
You had to run 2 days. It's bound to happen, dude.
Yeah.
You had to run 2 days.
So I have a person who's got an amazing question, but I asked if they could be on stream and they didn't answer me. So my question is I have people who could be on stream. We could do their question, or we could do this really good question.
Just
and they
just
can't
give
be
them
on
a little bit of time. Bring the other person on first. Let them respond.
Okay.
And if they don't want to be on stream, we will still do the really good question, of course. Yeah. Gotta keep the juices flowing.
Oh.
Hell yeah, dude. Get David on for the first one. Fucking love that shit. Let's go. David top cutting Louisville for sure. Well, good. Let's fucking go.
You know who won't top Louisville? And I'm positive of it?
You. Because you're
Cardwell.
not.
Yeah.
That's
Cardwell's
right.
not
Hey,
making it.
I also won't be, so. I'll never put my money where my mouth is ever again.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. So many people in the waiting room. Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's so fun.
Yeah.
I love this
we're
show.
Gonna do this. I'm gonna bring up. I do
my favorite part is like, so for Hotline League, a lot of the times they'll have so many people in the waiting room because like they might pull people down or their questions might not last very long, and their show's like 2-3 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
The people in the waiting room will just talk amongst themselves while watching the show, and then they get dragged down sometimes like mid conversation, and they're like, "Wait, let me go finish what I was saying," and then they'll come back down. It's very funny.
Shogun, how do you pronounce the first part of your name?
Tyru.
Tyru. Okay.
Tyru.
Tyru the Shogun is on the show for, I believe you submitted a question earlier, but then
The question I asked earlier was hey, can you tell me what's coming down the pipe situation? And
certainly could not.
That's messy.
But I really, really, really like your question. I think it is relevant because I think the answer is not as simple as people might think. So, Tyru, hit me with your question, man.
As a new player, how many attack cards should someone use for a competitive deck? I've been on a deck building spree on Ultra. And the 3 decks that I've been looking at wanting to play competitively, now mind you, I am a Critical Role player, is Percy, Vax, and Vex. And what I've come up with on these 3 decks is about 21 to 22, based off of information that I've been given through various other Discords and whatnot. But I really want to ask people who are on that top end, what numbers should I be looking for?
Do you want to go first, Tam?
I'd love to. I'd love to go first. I think this is such a dope question. Because it is a question that a lot of people just like forget, like they have, right? It's that classic idea of the chef in the kitchen forgets how to chop an onion because they've just been chopping onions for so long, right? It's like I've been putting attack cards in decks for so long that I just don't really think about it. And instead of giving you a hard number, I'm gonna teach you to fish rather than give you a fish. The answer is the fuzzy answer is it should be a third of your deck. If I'm playing a 60 card list, you should play 20 attacks. There are other things inside of this formula that you have to account for. Do you have draw power on your in your deck, right? Is your hand size going to be higher? What is your starting hand size? If you're a 5 hand size character, it is more likely that you want to play more attacks so that the percentage of attacks in your hand become higher, right? If I have a singular attack in my hand as a 5 hand size character, that is more of a percentage of my that singular attack takes up more percentage of my hand than a 7 hand size character with that same attack, right? From there, you have what is the quality of the attack? What is the attack's job, right? Is this attack a 10 difficulty, 20 mid for 20? Well, I probably only need 2 of those in my deck total. As long as I can figure out how to make that move land, then I no longer need all these bad checks. Hence where it comes in, like these Attack on Titan 4 check decks come in, you're allowed to lower the attack count that you're playing because the impact of your cards are higher. If I'm playing a bunch of 4 difficulty, 4 mid for 4s, my attack count might need to be higher because I need to find more to play more. And so there's so many small aspects to actually answer this question. Then I like 22. 22 is a good number for me.
Because my answer is going to be closer to that. Actually, I have learned, me as a player, and how I like to play the game. There is a specific percentage or ratio that I excel with. And then depending on the character, like everything Tam has said, you pivot by a couple percentage points. It's basically how I like to play. And I would say what Tam said is kind of accurate. I think even if you're playing hard aggro to a deck that wants to win on like turn 4 or 5, a third of your deck makes sense, because if your deck is trying to kill someone on turn 2, it probably still does a really good job of doing it on turn 3. And having a third of attack, you either get sometimes lucky and you draw the 4 attacks that you wanted to go in on, Sometimes you only draw 2, and that's not good enough. So you need some time to help yourself sculpt a little and build your stage a little bit wider. I am a big 33%er, like Tam has said, but I have had a lot of success in characters like Pony bumping up that percentage because the character says on face, draw more cards over and over and over again. So you get to kind of cheat the system, and there's other stuff happening in the deck, obviously, as well. So, like, I think it goes those ways. And then on the other side of that coin, when I'm playing a character closer to like Rodan or King Ghidorah, I'll make my deck a little bit bigger, and I may even lean closer to a 30% of attacks to non-attacks in my deck, because I fundamentally really do value like turn 1 builds, building a lot of like a big pathway for the rest of the game, regardless how slow or how fast you want to take the game. And so regardless of the number of attacks that are in your deck, what's also very important is the number of foundations in your deck. Not the number of non-attacks, the number of foundations in your deck. Because I have to be playing at least 40 foundations in my deck, or I'm not playing the deck. Because we can sit here and say, well, my attacks are only a third of my deck, but if you shoved in 10 asset action cards or backups, that means your foundations are closer to like 32 to 35. And to me, that's not good enough. Because when it comes down to new players and building the fundamentals of the game, you cannot play the game without having a staging area. And you have to have foundations to pass checks, whether it is offensively or defensively. So just as much as the question of how many attacks should be in your deck, you need to look at that other number when you build all your ultra decks. Because sometimes you fall into this weird hole of like, well, I'm playing Mimic, Barrett. I'm going to put a bunch of assets in my deck because they help me pass checks. Absolutely. That's not a beginner's deck list, in my opinion. You probably should be talking to somebody who knows a lot about that kind of deck style. But even when I look at somebody's like, I'm playing a 60-card Toga 3 list, and I go, great, 20 or 33% attacks? They're like, yeah, I'm playing 20 attacks on the dot. Awesome. That means you have probably, what I'm hoping, as close to 40 foundations in your deck, right? And they go, no, I've only got 30 because I'm playing 2 capes and 8 action cards. And I went, whoa.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, with the 3 decks that I've gotten built, or that I'm looking at being my my competitive decks, the decks that I really want to like bring out to the world, I'm, Percy is 21, 31, and an 8. Vex is 22, 28, and 10. And then Vax is 22, 33, and 5.
22, 33, and 5. I would actually start there. Okay, because I think you're close. I think if you turned, like I'm not joking, if you just turned, you said 22, 33, and 5?
Yeah.
If you turned that 33 number into 35 only by touching like a couple actions and 1 attack, you're at a good start. Like, genuinely, you're at a good start.
Or even just put in 2 foundations. Like if you are so sold on the attacks where they are and the foundations where they are, it is okay to just increase that number a little bit.
Exactly, because the reality is your 22 attacks for the third ratio means you can have a 66 card list.
If the way that I like to do deck building is very similarly to working out, is it is bulking and cutting. You should, as you are prepping for an event, you should bulk your deck and make it like 2 or 3 cards bigger than what you actually want it, to try a couple things and then slim down the things that don't work, and then bulk and then slim it down again, bulk, slim it down again, until you find okay, this is the list. And it allows you to play things that you wouldn't normally play because you are just trying them. And this is getting a little into some of the questions we have later on. But here's my last thing when it comes to how many attacks should be in your deck. And this is the thing that I have to remind myself about once every 2 months, especially when a character comes out that I really, really like. And the true answer is, if you feel like you're playing too many attacks in your deck, it actually just means that you have 2 or more very cool ideas inside this list separate them and make 2 lists. You do not pay per deck on UVS Ultra. Focus your idea and be like, I really want to play X, Y, and Z card in my awesome grog deck, right? And I have too many attacks. Okay, well, I will focus on X, Y, and Z. I will make a new deck and put A, B, and C in this second grog list and see how it works. Like, you are allowed to do that. Just separate those ideas, and it's okay that they are running parallel to each other rather than trying to fit everything into what is the perfect grog list.
Because eventually, at the end of the day, you'll probably end up building an amalgamation of them too. Or you'll learn one of those strategies was incredibly good and one of them wasn't. And that was with you tunneling on them, which means you're going to get the best data you can on the hard focused versions and learn its weaknesses and learn its strengths. Build upon the ones that you want to do. So, yeah.
Now, last point, and I'll bounce off of this.
Sure.
I'm used to card games saying, yes, you can be over 60, but usually if you start treading past the 60 mark, the decks become inefficient. Is that the case in this game or not?
Let me answer your question with a question. In those other card games, how many high-end competitive decks are there?
Like, is it like a rock, paper, scissors format?
Well, I mean, we're talking about older, some of the older games, so like Magic and Legends of the Five Rings, where if you went past 40-40, you were being inefficient.
No. Let me. The play styles of those decks. Let's talk Magic, right? In a singular format, how many named decks are there? Right, red decks wins, or blue-white control, or whatever.
So like this last one we had in all of Top Cuts. We had Is It Prowess, Mono Red Aggro, and then there was other stuff in the field, but they didn't get to top 8.
Right.
So
maybe 4 or 5.
Maybe 4 or 5.
In our game, we had 50.
Yeah. So
in our game, we actually have 30, 40, 50 characters, and that's a singular character, not even necessarily representing symbol spread that the field could be doing. The wider and the more that you make the more cards you put inside of your deck and still keep this ratio the same, right? The same roughly a third attacks, 2/3 non-attacks. The more you can do that, the more wide of a net that you will capture to be able to fight more of the format effectively. If you cast your net too wide, though, then you will not be potent enough to deal with any of those strategies. So there is still that fine line of how wide do I need to make the deck go versus how narrow to focus on one thing, right?
I have only had
that's
success.
what your sideboard's for.
You ready? I have only had success winning tournaments when my main deck is exactly 9 cards over the minimum. When I played Tokoyami, I had a 59 card deck and a 50 card minimum format. And when I played Cassie Cage, I played a 69 card list and a 60 card format. So 9 over is my sweet spot. But the reality is, all of those other games you were talking about are draw 1, or like most games nowadays, if you're not a draw 1 game, you're a draw 2 game. And the reality is that we are a potential draw 7 game.
Because that game's dope.
Okay.
Dope. And we check cards, and we block. We do stuff on our opponent's turn that requires checks.
We draw
and
cards.
And you use cards that mill. You use cards that draw. Yeah. We see so many cards that as long as that percentage number is there and the card game gods are on your side, your deck should feel the same whether your deck was 60 cards with 20 attacks versus 66 cards with 22 attacks. The math should still be about the same.
All right. That's helpful. That really
Love
is.
it, man. Thank you for the question.
Right,
Thanks for being on the show. Again, we can't do it without you.
No
Come
problem.
back and ask us another one next week.
We will most likely do.
Heck yeah. Thanks so much.
All right.
Okay. I will make sure that I saved this one. What a great question.
No, I think it's a great question because I think even when My Hero started, we had a bunch of people coming from other card games, and they were like 50 card, 50 card, 50 card, and they're like, yes, some people were winning with 50 cards in our one set format, but then people were still playing bigger lists, right? Like
Yeah.
it's really not as clear cut in our game as it is in other ones. It is very apples to oranges. So I think it's a great question.
Okay, so next two questions. We got two more questions and then we're done. So no more after this. I've already used up too much of Barrett's time, and I have to
You
record
too?
a reveal video.
And I'm going to a bonfire.
Ooh, that's exciting. So I have DeQuavius joining once again, to ask his question. Yo, what up? How's it going, buddy?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing
Pretty good,
well.
how are you?
Doing well. Hit me with a question, man.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what you guys think are the top 3 Dark Horse characters for this format. Because, I've asked people, like, oh, what do you think is going to do well in Louisville? And it's always like, Rodan, Porco, all these characters. I'm curious about characters that don't really top cut often, but you guys think might randomly show up.
So here's my question for you. What does Dark Horse mean? Give me that parameter so that we're all on the same page.
Because that's pretty important, right? Yeah, a character that either just hasn't seen the spotlight in a really, really long time, or just has never seen the spotlight. So my example, what I think the top 3 Dark Horse characters are would be like Allura, Elder Toguro, and Inasa.
Okay.
Of course you said Inasa. No, I'm kidding. I think
Dan in
Allura
chat.
is a very good answer, and I think a lot of people are like remembering this character exists. I think I just saw someone in Discord talking about her today. Because like, spoiler alert, she plays Filled with Doubt the best out of anybody because she gets rid of it in her card pool and then she doubles up on it with her character card. So like, that's really good.
That's really good.
But she still has to play the game of how do I kill people, and that is a real question for that character. Especially now with combined firepower being eroded, because the most successful Allura decks I've seen were ones that were using combined firepower as a crutch to get some extra damage, and you just can't do that anymore. I do like the Allura answer. I'm kind of with you. I will always say Elder Toguro because I think the problem with Elder Toguro is that he has such a high floor to be very good with because he is hard to execute. And the reality is, unless you're willing to put in the reps with that character and in each format and testing different versions of that character, it's very hard to win a tournament with it. So I love the Elder Toguro answer. I think that's a really good one. But I don't want to just steal yours. So hopefully I've yapped enough to give Tam at least time for one answer, and then I can bounce off of him.
I mean, I think the answer is just Allura. I think that character got a absolutely massive glow up. So the issue that I have with Dark Horse versus known quantity, right, is when it comes to characters like known quantity, Hanj 1, I think fits your definition. We have not seen an event really with this character. Wait, was the last major regional, did it have AOT3? Am I crazy? Yes, because Peak 1.
Oh, it did.
Peak
Yeah.
1. Yeah. So the fact
Australia.
that Hanj 1 didn't show up in droves, I think is crazy. I think that character has got such an incredible like 3-card tactic that just ruins your life of unyielding into barrage into Titan pile. Like that little 3-piece is like such a beating that like I don't know how most decks are going to deal with it in conjunction with how it works with Falling Titans. Like one of the best Falling Titans decks in the game. People are constantly complaining, unrightfully so, about 9 Titans. And so like the fact that this character has only had 2 events if you count the webcam event that David and I hosted, and has not seen a ton of play, I think is criminal. And I'm going to, and so that's a realistic pick. My unrealistic pick is I don't like, man, the gesture list that I've been playing on stream is so freaking crazy. Like it's so crazy. If I get to turn 4, it is so unbelievably hard to kill me. It's so hard to kill me. It's so hard. And like this character can go pick up Harness Undeath and play 8 of them on a turn consistently. Like it's so crazy. It's so crazy what this character is allowed to do. No VME existing in the format says that like when I give you momentum, not every single deck has like a perfect out to it. and like it has two very hard matchups. It's just Godzilla and Jean. Godzilla exists in the format and is very good. Jean, there will be two of them at the event maybe. Like I don't see that character like seeing high numbers of representation. I think that character is in Jester is good to go. I think that character has a lot of play right now.
Yeah, Jester's an interesting one. I never really thought of the character.
The people that like
Yeah.
Jester are Jester enthusiasts. Like Tam, I know some other ones as well that are really into playing the character. I think the matchups for Jester are really polarizing.
Yes.
But the ones where you just get to play even just generic UniVersus with them, Jester does seem to eat them alive pretty well as long as you know what you're doing and you have the reps. Man.
And I think
guess
that's the definition of dark horse, right? Is somebody
Sure,
that you
sure,
have
yeah.
to go put the reps on to make work.
I think what I'm gonna hit with is I like the Jean Kirstein example from set one. I think obviously Barlow has shown us Jean, like at least at like a competitive event, but like now with VME gone, there's a real reason to play that character, and Air and Chaos are not bad symbols, like genuinely, and like that deck can answer the question of like how do you kill people. It just struggles in other certain matchups. I'm gonna say also on my list
Some
is
other
gonna be
jabroni
like
played well with Jean too, right?
yeah, I think so.
Elijah Wakeman wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he was pretty okay with that character. I think got like a top
Yeah,
4 finish or something like that.
That guy kind of stinks though.
Agreed.
Dang. I think what I'm gonna go with is less about it being like. I think I'm gonna say a character, and I don't think people are gonna say that this character is not good. It's just that nobody's talking about them, and it is the new Armin from AOT 3.
Mm-hmm.
That I just don't think like I think that character is hard to execute at a high level, but it's playing very good cards in the deck that you can do and can genuinely do a bunch of different game plans. But I think the ones that will succeed might come out of the woodwork here soon. So it's less about people not knowing that the character is good. It's just that like nobody's really talking about them. And my other one that's in that same category, except for like a couple few that are talking amongst in discords, is the Garrett Brett character card. I think in a very aggressive format, which I'm not saying the format is, but like against aggressive decks in a format with aggressive decks, some of these high defense Garrett Brett decks I think are going to have a little bit of success. I don't think to win the whole thing, but like getting a top cut, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Garrett Brett in top cut at Louisville, to be honest.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's been a really interesting character in testing too. Like a lot of like weird little things you can do.
It's just like every time they attack in on you, it is a card in their card pool, which is the same thing as like Moneta energy. But like repeatable life gain and reflipping or unflipping a foundation is actually a lot better than people give it credit to.
But he only has two symbols.
Okay.
Like I've seen people doing what's the Mina 3-diff that you flip and you stuff the card pool?
Yeah, we both stuff one, right? Yeah, the I know what you're talking about.
I've seen people unflipping that, and then you're doing that every turn, and then your character also stuffs, so it's like stuffing two.
I even think like cards that are like not as crazy as you think about them when you like sit down and play the game, but there's the Shigaraki, his face is on this foundation that just says like your opponent's check gets -2 at response speed or whatever.
Loss of control.
Like
losing control.
Fighting for control.
Control.
There it is.
You actually just have access to that card every single turn, which makes your opponent walk into backswings so easily while you play a regular defensive game. And like I'm not saying that's the best option, but like something as generic as that says your opponent either overcommitted for a card or discarded one just by flipping a foundation over.
Yeah, like also the other champ card, Will Anderson.
Yeah.
Like
I think he's a lot harder to figure out. But I do agree that I think he's not bad.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm on a team with the guy, and the things I'm seeing the deck do, it's like kind of gross. But I think that these champ cards are less egregiously broken looking than the other two that we just saw. So people are like, oh, these guys are fine, and not really looking at them enough.
Here's my last crazy take before I think I'm kind of done with this one. My last crazy take is I think we're going to see characters that have had success in the past, and then people are going to completely flip the script on the deck version of it. And the reason I say that is because I know that there are people out and about that are saying that high attacks are illegal right now, and you should only be playing lows. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but someone's going to find the best strategy of doing that. And they're gonna eat these peaks alive. They're gonna eat them alive.
Could you imagine being able to pick up 8 low blocks or low attacks that say if it touches them they burn for 5 to 10? That would be crazy. That would be.
And
really
there are
crazy.
plenty of new strong low attacks in our game that actually ask you to answer them, as well as ones that have been around for a while that people have forgotten about. And they are on good symbols, and they are easily put in characters that play cards very well. So I wouldn't be too afraid of something like that happening, even if the character might not be something new. But I would say that is a dark horse strategy.
I like that answer a lot. All I'm saying, play a character that makes all your attacks lows. Gene, kind of cool.
Mirio
Gene.
coming back?
Oh yeah, Mirio the goat.
Elijah, I don't care what you're wearing on your legs. We were talking about Mirio, Lemillion.
Yeah. I started after that guy fell off, and I just don't think of him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, high attacks are also really good. Ochako, maybe coming back.
I think Ochako's got a lot of legs right now. If you just run hot and your rival doesn't have answers, she's allowed to play the Tasty Rift loop and make them all not 3 damage. She actually puts 100 damage on all of them. So there's a world somebody wants to dedicate it to it.
But I am so excited for Louisville. I think even if people aren't going, if you're in chat, one, you should tune into the stream. Tam and I will be working it, and I think we're going to have a blast, and it's going to be a lot of good times. And I'm just excited to see people playing competitive UniVersus again in person, because I've been gone for a little while. And I think a lot of people are coming out for this event, and I think that means there's going to be a lot of different strategies. I think people have very, very positive opinions on the format right now. We'll see after the event, but I think when they're going into it with everybody butting heads on what they think is the best right now, there's so many different ways to approach the format right now. So this conversation of a dark horse, I think, is very real and always has been. It honestly kind of even feels like last Nationals for the US, where I heard a million people talking with different things, and that event we had 8 unique characters in top 8. And that's really cool, right? That's cool. Even in the world of Mimic that it was. So
love it, buddy. Thank you so much for the question. I do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
We will. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone. Great. Love that. Love that for him. Love that for us. Love that for everybody involved. Last question of the night. I've got so much. I have to do so much behind the scenes of making shit in Canva.
That's why you should give me permissions to do some of it, because while you're doing the stream stuff, I can drag people down and start conversations, and that's what the point of there being 2 hosts is. But I just sit here and twiddle my thumbs because you want to do it all.
Well, we've got Dan here. Let me. I have you all the way down to 17%. Talk again for me, buddy.
Hi.
Hello.
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 All right, buddy.
Hello.
Hit me with your question. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Dropping a ticket over in the new TAM server. Hit me with the question, man.
Yeah. So my question is about the Louisville Regional. So in the last 3 years, this is actually this is shaping to be our biggest regional in the last 3 years, maybe the last 2 years. I can't remember exactly regional numbers 2 years ago, but what advice do you guys have for event jitters or how to prepare for events? Because as much confidence as I've been saying, I have not played in a competitive event since Nationals, and I did not do great at Nationals. So
Amazing question. Very fun
You're me.
question.
You're
Especially
me.
because both of us have had, limited, competitive success. Some of us, I mean, we're not amazing. Neither of us has like won worlds or anything. But and that's the only accolade that we will talk about. So Barrett, Barrett, thoughts, man? How back when you were playing, how did you prepare for events?
Excuse me, I play every day. How was I preparing for events? Well, it is currently July 3rd, and the event is July 19th. So you have about a little over 2 weeks. We have a holiday weekend coming up for everyone in America, so let's say you have 2 weeks for the event. So right now, you should be grinding. I think you should be grinding with your playtest group or yourself or fish bowling or whatever. You should still be in that phase of like, it's okay to be not sure about what deck you're bringing. It's okay. If you're freaking out, it's okay. But I'm going to try and lead you on a path that is not picking your deck the night before, which historically means you'll win, by the way. But I think what the better thing to do right now is you need to be collaborating with as many people right now about what you think is good, what you think you're good at playing, because regardless of what you end up choosing, and I'm going to say this because I say this a lot nowadays when I look at UniVersus, a lot of the times the winner of each tournament right now is the person who shows up and plays their absolute ass off. Even with a B tier, C tier deck, it is whoever plays their absolute ass off. So, how do you get there? You need to be practicing with the deck that you're going to be playing or thinking about playing. You need to know your deck inside and out. You need to know general card knowledge pretty inside and out, at least for the top decks that you think are going to be represented. It's okay to get caught off by something that you weren't necessarily prepared for. That's them doing their strategy in a world where you're trying to do yours. You need to be the best player that you yourself can be. Number one. What does that mean? It also means you need to be sleeping. You need to be eating. You need to be making sure that you have good time management on getting to this event, because the last thing that you want to do is outside stressors causing you other reasons to do bad. At the end of the day, we kind of talked about this last week, Tam and I did. If you are going to the event to be a competitor, you are a professional UniVersus player. For the weekend of the 19th, you are a professional competitor. You should treat it that so if that's the level that you want out of the event. If you're there for vibes and a good time and you don't really care how well you do, don't listen to this. But I'm giving you based off of what I want to
Listen to it. I'd love the retention rate and click through. You can even like, share, subscribe, and
but
if you're
I'm
feeling
giving
it,
you
just saying.
I find a lot of fun doing well and getting better every day and trying to be a good competitor. And you don't do that by following into bad habits. I know we talked about like the night before, we always get together in the hotel lobby at, when we're playing games till 4 a.m. in the morning. If you're playing in the event, you don't get to do that. In my opinion, you should be getting sleep, waking up for breakfast, taking a shower before doing your positive affirmations in your headset or whatever, stuff like that. Like, I genuinely think good vibes is a great time at a tournament, even if you end up doing poorly, because then all you get to do is assess yourself analytically based off of your play if all of those outside factors are gone. So that's what I think you should be doing. A lot of that comes down to your own personal plays and how you're going to make decisions, which means you need practice. Is 2 weeks enough practice? I would say no. But at the end of the day, if you're listening here or on YouTube or whatever, you have X amount of knowledge of UniVersus. You have 2 weeks to grow that knowledge. And that's what you should be doing. And I would say that effort is best spent on the knowledge of your deck and how you play it. Because as we talked about last week, our game has so many patterns and silent pattern recognition that we don't even think about. That's the mental load part. You want the only piece of mental load every time you go into a tournament, in my opinion, to just be not making mistakes. And that's what I think you should do.
So I will add on to that because I think everything you said is totally 100% correct. But is it not very? There's not very tangible answers to that. Um, don't make mistakes is like such a hard thing to say, right? Especially
No, it's
because like
not.
if you don't know what constitutes a mistake and what doesn't constitute a mistake, I think that is bad. I talked a long time ago with a veteran player of the game, one of the best performing teams player in our history of our game. Piglet had a Champions Corner video with him over on TCG University, and he had what he called the playbook, which was him and his two teammates would sit down before every single event, and they would randomly roll up 3 different characters, and they would have a game plan into picking what 3 characters. If I'm playing, I'll look at my desk. Percy, my partner's playing Pony, and then my last partner is playing, I'll be nice, Anasa, right? And we're playing these 3 characters, and I randomly roll up against Grog and Joker and Ochako 4, right? Sure, I'll just pick 3. You should have a pseudo game plan of what your team is going to be pairing into. Let's take this out of the teams element and now bring it into singles. You should have a game plan into basically every meta character in the game. You don't necessarily have to have played a game against them, but go do your research. Ask on Discord, hey guys, what is making Porco such a menace on turn 2, turn 3? Oh, it's ABC card. Okay, what inside of my deck do I have that interacts with what Porco's got going on? If it's not there, maybe it should be there. And so not even necessarily playing against all these characters, but just understanding what can exist in the metagame is relevant. And however much homework you want to do can then trickle down. We've got 300 characters on Ultra. Scroll through. Hey, Ryu is going to be at the event. What does my deck do into Ryu? What's my game plan? If I could elevator pitch, what's my game plan into Ryu? I'm playing, I'll use this example now, of Percy. Percy, defensively, wants to block. Ryu wants to be blocked. Okay, maybe against Ryu as Percy, I'm not going to be using my response very often. And so going into the event, I have a game plan of that response is not very good. I have to overspeed him on my turn. My defensive disruptive stuff is not very potent. Even just coming into a match like that with a little bit of pregame knowledge is so important for the success and stopping that mental load of trying to figure out what mistake you could be making, as Barrett was saying. Like, don't make mistakes. Well, you don't know what is or isn't a mistake if you don't have a game plan going into the match. And the more homework you can do beforehand, the better.
Maybe your game plan against Ryu as Percy is to not completely block Ryu's moves, because he only gets to respond if a move is completely blocked. But Percy just has to play a card. So maybe that's the game plan. Hey, I need to do a lot more partial blocking here than completely blocking. Whereas I'm used to playing near perfect defense because I'm a stinky little 7-hander. I only have 20 life or whatever. But against Ryu, it will go a lot longer if you make him make sure he has to have the perfect blocks while you're trying to commit his board if you only partially blocked, right? So like that's something different you might do in that matchup. So stuff like that. How much time do you have, Dan?
I have plenty of time.
You know, one of my favorite game, because I think a lot of UniVersus comes down to card knowledge. And so I want to play a fun game with you and Tam, and Tam's going to hold your hand through it because he's played it before. My friends and I, and Tam included, play this game all the time because I think it's very good for card knowledge. Because I have a card in front of me that is in the format. And we're going to play 20 questions, and you have 20 questions to figure out what this card is going to be. Okay? And your first clue is that it has this card back on it.
Yeah, we've done it.
You get the first question, Dan.
Is it attuned?
It is not attuned.
Not attuned. Okay.
That's a big clue.
That's a huge clue. Damn, well, you're so much better at this than I am.
You're up to
Hey, I won your game show for a reason.
You certainly did.
Me too, buddy.
You certainly did. It's funny. I'm very bad at this.
That's not true. We play this in the car all the time. If you're driving, this is what you do in the car with your friends.
Yeah. While affirmations play in the background.
Correct.
Is it from a My Hero set?
It is not, Dan.
Was it released this year?
It was released this year.
This means it's just a Critical Role card, right?
It is not a
Or
critical
Street
role.
Fighter, or
Well, it can't be a Street Fighter card. Unless of course Barrett has these cards early.
Which I do.
Yeah.
That's the stupid question.
Yeah.
But you got to think outside the box. It's not attuned. It was released this year. It's not Critical Role.
oh, that's my question. Okay. Not attuned. Not Critical Role. So it can't be. It's not an AOT set. We had Street Fighter that's coming out.
Is it a
We had so.
no, so go ahead.
You can work together. It's not really you have to
Tekken
work
card?
It is not a Tekken card.
Okay.
Okay, so the other two things I can think of are Solo Leveling and Street Fighter.
So Leveling had tune cards outside of
Of the character.
Is it a character card, Barrett?
It is not a character card.
Okay.
Okay, so is it a Street Fighter card?
It is not a Street Fighter card.
Okay, what?
You've
Oh,
already
wait.
dug yourself a hole.
Okay, so there's Nick Reagan, Mitch.
Not a character card.
Oh yeah, not a character card. Star Trek came out that has the
Attune cards.
character. It's Attune cards. Wait, no. There is one non-attune card in Star Trek.
Damn it.
I
Is
did say this card is in the format, guys. It's in the format.
Is it an asset, Barrett?
It is an asset.
It's the Sarita Soli.
It's not Sarita.
It's an asset that is not attuned.
Not this year.
It's gonna click on one of you. One of you, it's gonna click.
Asset came out this year.
Does it have the infinity symbol?
It does have the infinity symbol.
Okay. It
Oh.
is legal to be played right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Came out this year.
So it's not VME.
It's military airship.
It is not military airship.
Oh, it's not an Attack on Titan card. We were told.
Oh, that's
That-
duh.
That's not what you asked.
It was just attuned.
it's not
Oh.
attuned.
Is it an Attack on Titan card?
Yes, it's an Attack on Titan card.
Okay. Is it the peak asset card? The peak.
It is.
card.
It is anti-Titan
Yeah,
artillery.
okay.
So my idea for you is that eventually you'd figure out on card knowledge that you are running through 1,000,000 cards a minute when you
What
play
a
this
hard
game.
one. What a crazy hard.
It's not even that hard. I hope that you, sitting right now, Dan, know what this card does because
Yeah.
you're going to play against it 1,000,000 times if you sit across from Peak. And you should know what this card does and what your answer to it or what your deck does to fight against it because response speed, selective committal on damage deal is really good. And it's repeatable damage pump. So, like, cards like this existing, you need to know the ins and outs of all these things because I think card knowledge is king when it comes to our game and how you plan on attacking each of those cards with your own strategy into somebody else's deck. So thanks for playing that fun game with me because I love that game.
Yeah, it was fun.
We do it with Nick Reagan's cube all the time, and it's very difficult.
That's very.
Oh,
It's way hard.
Yeah,
Way
I'm,
difficult.
I'm sure.
Danny, any other aspects about this this question that you think we didn't cover? Because it's a huge ass question.
It is a big one
I
because everyone
mean,
prepares in their own way, right?
yeah. I mean, like I think you answered basically everything.
This has just been a big question for me recently because I'm thinking about making a video for like the mental health of what not doing well at events and what that could do to a person and stuff like that. So this question came up to me. It came up in my head, being like, "Oh, event jitters and how to prepare and stuff like that. What if I take a deck that doesn't do well? What if I take my pet deck and don't do well and all that other stuff?"
One of the smartest things I've ever heard Sam Tate say is that every time you go to an event, 99% of the people at the venue are going to be losers. The guy that got
Yeah.
second place is a loser. He did not win. Right? So So like going in to win the event is very cool, but you should definitely look at it more on the
I think a nicer way of putting what Tam just said is you should have an individual goal when you go
there
to
it
the event.
is. There it is.
Because if your goal is just to make top 32 because you need some more points to get you to Worlds day 1, and you make top 32, that's an achievement. Like that's a step into what you wanted. And then anything you do after that is just icing on the cake, right? Because Tam is
100%.
right. If you go into the tournament and you're like, the only thing I'll be happy with is getting first place, then yes, you and 99% of the rest of the people there are probably going to have a bad day. And
Yeah.
I think a lot about competitive events is very rarely does anyone show up to their first event ever and then win the whole thing. Very rarely.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to be like everybody else, is what I would tell people. And I'm not saying, well, Barrett, this isn't my first event. It's very rarely that people show up to their second event and win and third event and fourth, and we can keep going because again, the majority of the people there don't win.
Yeah.
I don't know how many I've played in, and I've only won 2.
It is okay to get your teeth kicked in. It is okay to go O and X as long as you learn something, and as long as there are ways for you to get appropriate ways for you to get better in later. I think that like an event is successful. You are going to feel bad because like did not you set a goal and you did not reach it, but
and I think
it will be
that's
okay.
where you talking about the mental health thing is actually I said that last week. I said, guess what? Being a competitive card gamer is really rough mentally. Like that's being as transparent and open as possible for probably the majority of people that are competitive card game people. Because if you do not have the mental fortitude to do it, I would recommend not playing competitively because there are some rough days. Even not even just talking about going to the event and not winning the event. Even like during practice days and you're like, "Holy shit, I'm 0-10 today." Cuz you will have those days. And those are the days that you question like, "Why am I doing this?" right? And that mental fortitude are the people that power through and learn from it and keep going and try a little harder and eventually they get to their mountaintop. Eventually. But no one in this room or on this planet can tell you the day that you hit the mountaintop is today. No one can predict when that's going to be. And that's hard for some people.
Especially for some people that like want to be competitive, but they want to like obviously I'm talking about myself here as well because I don't ever play the top tier characters, but wanting to play the character that you want to show off, want to make like a known quantity, but you don't always do well enough. It could that could be taxing after a while.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the thing is, and then the day that it happens, it will be so much sweeter. Like there is something worth fighting for. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a reason you do it because you know the day that it happens, and it will happen. Like I genuinely think for anybody, as long as you can put in the work and you want to do it, it will happen. No one can tell you when though. So like I don't disagree with you. I think you're already one step above the other people because at the end of the day, you're playing something that you love and you should be having fun. Even if your deck shits the bed that day, you played your favorite character, strategy, whatever. You had a better time than the guy who net decked a deck and went 0-3. Because even if you went 0-3, you played your favorite deck. You're already doing better than them. At least in my opinion.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
I was about to answer way more than this question. Dan, thank you so much for being on the show. I do greatly appreciate it. It was a blast, a good one, an important one.
Yeah. No problem.
And I wish you luck, and I hope to see you in Louisville.
I will be there.
Heck yeah.
All right, buddy. We'll see you.
All right, see you.
And with that, thank you everybody for hanging out today for this week's Tam and Barrett UniVersus Super Show. Again, if you're watching this over on YouTube, go catch us live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central on the dot. We never miss it by an hour. It is fun to hear from you. Thank you guys. We can't do the show without you. And final thoughts, Barrett.
I have so much fun doing this, Tam. I just
Good.
want you to know, I really like doing this. I play a lot of UniVersus, so just coming on here and talking with people, like the people that come in and ask questions and sit in the show, even like the David Toombs, other content creators. That's why I'm so excited to go to Louisville, because you see all those people together and we all love this game and we all play this game because we love it, right? And just like that's why I love this shit, man. So yeah, it's great. It's great. I'll see you guys next week. It'll be great.
Everybody.